In this video, I would like to share with you about what I believe matter the most when you look for your first or next tech job, and how do you find your own product employee fit. Let's get started. Currently, I'm working in a data science team at Google, before which I did my master specializing in business analytics and data science, where I also interned in a consumer goods company. Since graduation, I worked in healthcare for a little bit and then moved on all the way to tech. Pretty much most of my experiences were related to data science, so my advice can mostly be relevant if you're looking into a data science job. The number one thing that I believe matter the most are the skills, of course, but just to a certain extent. When I say skills, in data science, it probably means SQL or Python that you use day to day in order to find answers in, for example, a research or business problem. But think about this, most people have those skills if they're looking into a data science job. And in fact, if you have done a master's degree or a bachelor degree specializing in statistics or data science, you're probably overqualified for most of the data science jobs. When I say overqualified, I kind of meant that you probably learn how to train a neural network, you probably learn how to fastly optimize an algorithm so that your model can sort of process things more efficiently. But in a product or a tech job team, of course, about 5% of us are going to spend a lot of time defining what is the best classifier to be used in order to find, for example, scammy emails or scammy videos at Google. And the other 95% of the time, we're probably not doing very highly advanced stuff. So that means if you don't understand what exactly the job market wants, you might not find the best product employee fit that you expect. So here are the things that I think really matter when you try to decide what team or company that you want to work for. The first thing is that timing really matters. So whenever you talk to someone who are working in the tech industry or in the data science role, their experience could be totally based on when they joined the company and at that point, how the company was doing. For instance, back in 2021, a lot of people moved on to crypto companies because apparently there was a really good market for crypto and NFTs out there. But a few months earlier in 2022, the whole crypto market crashed. So if you are taking advice about finding a job in crypto from someone who joined the company about 2 years ago, it might or might not apply today because the growth trajectory differs now. A similar example, if you joined a Google or Facebook data science team about 10 to 15 years ago, you're probably now a director or a vice president, but that experience doesn't really apply today because today Google is big enough. And about 10 to 15 years ago, mobile just got started, so there was so much growth potential for user-facing products that Google and Facebook were trying to build. And data science teams can really make a huge impact when the company size is not as big today. So the Google or Facebook job that you're expecting might or might not match what you're actually getting today. And I guess a positive or supporting argument for joining Google or Facebook, if you're pretty entrepreneurial or looking into a smaller team that grows a lot, try to join a smaller team in these large corps because there is still potential. And also because growth matters so much to them because they need funding to sustain this development of the product. And Google really spends a lot of money on hiring people. So if these early stage products don't really grow as fast, they're probably going to cut it. So if you are looking for fast growth kind of job in the data science role, try to join a smaller team. The second thing I think matters is that you need to figure out if you're more kind of a user-facing person or kind of a client or large business-facing person. Because in a lot of the companies or in a lot of the product teams, there could be double-sided parties that the company is trying to serve. For instance, YouTube and Instagram are heavily user-facing. So if you join these teams, I believe data science are going to be really important or critical for them to make a product decision because all of their ads revenue or subscription revenue actually come from heavy user interaction with the product. So data science insights are really going to guide the team to make the decision. But if you join, for example, a Saas company, for instance, Google Workspace, Slack, Salesforce, a lot of the time it matters if you're serving your large business customers well. So in my opinion, in these teams, marketing and sales, as well as the capabilities of the engineering team to really hear in the feedback and fastly iterating the features are most important for this company. So if you're that type of person, try to join a Saas. Perhaps both the user-facing companies or teams or SaaS companies require data science roles, require you to write a prediction model, but at the end of the day, the nature of the work really differs. So when you try to look into those companies, think about what you might really enjoy. The third thing that I think really matters is the backgrounds of the team that you're going to join. And here's why. When you work in a product, you're probably going to interact with people who used to work in, for example, investment banking, consulting, or other tech companies, either in a Saas company or in a user-facing company or in an ads company. And these people's backgrounds can bring different ideas and perspectives to the brainstorming sessions, to the final decision-making. And I believe that really, really matters at some point because it adds energy to the innovative ways of doing things. But sometimes I feel like the relevance of your teammates' backgrounds also matter a lot, even though diversity can bring a lot of good sides of things, for example, in brainstorming. If your current product is trying to grow their ads business, then if you don't have a product manager who kind of have a strong background in those areas, you might not have a good time because ads business is a really complicated one, and you might need people who have experience in that. And similarly, for example, if you're working for a machine learning SaaS company, if your product manager or the data science team leads didn't used to work in a lot of tech-serving kind of technologies, it might bring difficulties when the team is actually facing strong hurdles. So my advice is that actually look up who is working in the team that you might join and try to understand if their backgrounds are relevant, if you might want to work with them, and potentially just hop on a call with them to understand a bit better about the context of the team. You might regret if you don't do that. Lastly, it might be a little bit cliche, but I think passion actually matters more, especially in your early career. Because think about this. For example, if you happen to get a job that pays you $300K after you just graduated, of course, that's a huge deal. You get financially independent immediately. But in my opinion, in the first couple of years, it's actually important to feel comfortable with practicing the skills that you already know and make it better. For example, if you're more interested in creator-facing products, maybe YouTube and Instagram is a better option for you as opposed to, for instance, manufacturing or telecommunication. Because even though you can pick up the skills that you need in a career in any type of environment, if you are already into this industry, for example, you use your social media a lot and you understand what users need, you have a huge advantage because you already know the pain points and you yourself might be the user. And passion matters here in the sense that you get to practice your skills at a more engaged level. When you look at the data of the creators or social media, you kind of can relate very well and you can constantly ask yourself questions that you want to explore. Whereas if you work in manufacturing or telecommunications and you don't understand too much of the technologies there, you kind of become a task takers instead of task creators. Last but not least, I believe the way that the company organizes decision-making process is important for experience. And in most cases, there are two extremes, bottom-up or top-down. In a bottom-up company, people are probably going to experience a more messy culture because everybody can bring up their ideas and the structure is very flat, so you kind of lead your own project. And I've worked in that environment before. I personally really enjoyed it because I feel like I have strong ownership about what I have to say, what I want to work on, as well as how I want to manage my stakeholders. But in a top-down structured product team, things are different. They're top-down for a reason. Hopefully they're not authoritative, but just because they're large enough and they want to organize things more efficiently this way. And the benefits of that is they probably get less ad hoc requests from your stakeholders. Because when you're in a more top-down structure, your manager is probably your major POC, aka point of contact, and in that case, a lot of the ad hoc asked by other stakeholders might just go through a manager, and your manager will be able to help you focus on the things that you actually need to work on by filtering out the noises. So I believe if you are a strong IC person, a top-down structure can really make you enjoy the work because you can really spend your time and focus on the things that you want to work on. But if you're more entrepreneurial or you're really looking for adventures, then a smaller team might be a better choice. But who knows, life is long, so try everything you want when you still can. To summarize, I like to put things in a do's and don'ts list. The do's are, do reach out to people and talk to them as much as you can in order to understand the team culture, the team backgrounds, and what they actually work on. And when I say culture, think about the structure of the company. Is it more top-down? Is it more bottom-up? Do people constantly freely exchange their thoughts across different ladders or stakeholders, or do people mostly focus on what they want to do? And secondly, do read a lot of news about the startups or the teams that you want to work on in a large corp. For example, in TechCrunch, the fundraising stages of the startups are very clear because those data are kind of public and you can kind of get the feel of how the growth trends is for the startup you want to join, or a team that your large corp company is trying to break into because people are going to get nervous when Google wants to enter a new industry. And that's the point when you can read from the outside world to see how well they're doing. Because the more anxious the competitors are, probably there's stronger growth in that team. And thirdly, when you get advice from people, try to bring in the timeline when they talk about it. Because markets are in cycles and things don't grow forever. Last but not least, always try to keep an open mind, but with some constraints. Because you want to exclude things that you don't want to work on. and dive into things that you think might interest you the most and see if the reality meets your expectation, and try to iterate on that when you're still in your early stage of the career. I hope this is helpful. Thank you for following along for this video all the way to the end. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter and ask me any follow-up questions down below in the comments section. And also let me know what kind of videos you want to watch. I'm happy to combine those ideas into my Notion notes and create the next video based on that. Thanks a lot.